hallways because of him. And it was just like, I don't know, like he had this like attitude about him. Like he was already like, it wasn't even arrogance, but it was like, he wanted us to learn. And once again, I'm an underachiever. So, but I'm an underachiever with potential. And so, like, he would push me or push us, period, because that's just him. It wasn't like he just favored a student. Like, he pushed all of us. Like, it is plenty of people who avoided his class and took night class, English, just so they could graduate, because he would not play with y'all. Like, he wanted you to actually earn your grade. And he was one of the teachers that I used to always do his shit like last minute. And I used to do that shit sometimes just because of his attitude. And but looking back at it as an adult, like, I admire him. One of his things he used to always tell us was how he had a speech impediment growing up, and he had to practice, and he had to, learn how to talk. And he talked with a list still to this day, but I know he was saying, like, I think he stuttered and talked with a list. And so he was just letting us know, like, if you're really determined about something, like, you definitely can do it. And the fact that, he chose English and have to be a public speaker, as a teacher, you're a public speaker. And, like, I find that so dope now as an adult. As a child, like, I do not know what it was about him, but he used to be on my ass, bro. Like, he used to be on my ass, and then maybe he knew I could do better. I don't know. Like, he might have just thought, like, you could do better, and until you could do better, get your shit together. And my friends, they would put the effort they needed to put into their work. Like me, I would get a C, a D, a D if I just was just being trifling, and a C just say, here you go. I would love to say that man gave me a taste and a glimpse of wonderful literature that I had exposure to some of it, but like a deep dive into Shakespeare, understanding Romeo and Juliet, beautiful. Once you understand like the jargon, like it's such a beautiful form. It's a work of art. It's a beautiful work of art. I remember, like, what is it? The Odyssey. We learned, like, a lot of that, like, old school, like, I would say white people literature. Like, I grew up with white people literature anyway, but never understood those types, like the Shakespeare, the Odyssey. Like, once we started to learn the jargon and stuff, like, it became fun. Beowulf and, oh, another thing, like, he set me up for college. Like, he had me prepared for college when it came to research papers. Like, he was my first experience with doing an almost college-like research paper. Like, I would definitely say it was more community college research paper. So, and I say that because of the page length. But definitely wanted to prepare us for college. To this day, had an impact on my life. He might not have even thought he did, but he had an impact on my life. Science teacher. I had a science teacher that was a doctor, and he chose to come work in the public schools and teach children. How dope was that? Another one where he had to get on my ass sometimes, or sometimes I would get on his ass, and I don't even know why I was getting on his ass. For real, I think I used to come to school angry and just take that shit out on who I could take that shit out on sometimes when it came to him. And I want to publicly apologize to him. I was an angry, fucked up kid. And he still took to me and still didn't give up on me. And yeah, but I wasn't that nice to him. And I apologize, but I actually respected him and loved him deep down inside. To this day, I still ask about him and wonder how he was. He was from, I think, Flint, Michigan. Like, I used to listen to his stories. He might not have thought I listened to his stories, but I used to listen to his stories. But yeah, I was a mean kid when I think about that. But I used to love him. Like, it's weird. See, I had that fucked up relationships with people. Yeah, but he taught me a lot. He was my chemistry teacher, and he actually gave me a love for chemistry. I do not like math. And but I like science. And he was like the first teacher that got me to actually remember the periodic table. Like, and it worked. So he actually taught me, like, you know, when it came to like yielding products and all that stuff. So like by the time I got to college, once again, I had this foundation that I could go back to once I got to college. So I am grateful for that. There are spurts and spits and spats of people that definitely made an impact. I would say that I had a history teacher who she taught to that test. Like, she would give us OSOL tests, and we would break down the wording and the processing of the question as a group. Did it in study groups, and like it resulted in wins and passes for her because she knew that teaching us test taking strategy skills was what we needed. Like, it wasn't the lack of information. It wasn't the lack of her not teaching us. It was that her babies just didn't know how to take a test. So back then I hated it. It was boring. But it actually helped me for college. So thank you. And who else was there? Captain Snyder. He was definitely, I loved him. Like, I loved him. He helped me get that job at McDonald's. So you can say he's responsible. No, he's not responsible. I'm just kidding. He definitely put me on the trajectory of meeting Ray Ray, which wasn't, you know, the best decision making I had in life. But, you know, life is life, and those were my paths. But yeah, Captain Snyder told my mom, you know, that basically he did not feel like I belonged in public schools, and he felt like that I needed to go to a specialty school or out to the counties. And I think he saw that, like, I had way more potential than what I was doing, and I think he attributed that to, you know, my growth was getting stunted, and it did. It really, truly, truly did. So little by little, it was chiseled and chipped away. By the time I got through high school, I didn't get too fucks. Like, I graduated with a 3.7, I think, and I didn't even try. I actually was a student who got put out of Richmond Public Schools. So like, 9th to 11th grade, I stayed at Franklin. My 12th grade year, I went to 1, 2, 3, 4 schools. So initially, my mom finally agreed to allow me to go to a school in the suburbs, and I went there. I used to have to drive myself all the way out there in the mornings because we lied about the address. And I used my aunt's address, and which I think that's a crime, but we should discuss why someone has to be strategic to try to get their child to a better education. Anywho, so I got there, and by the time I got there, they were doing real learning. And I got so fucking lazy at, like, not having to do real learning, that I once again became this imposter syndrome and felt like, you know, these kids are really smart. Like, I'm doing really well in that other situation. So it was like, after, like, I think the first 9 weeks, I was like, you know, Mom, like, nah, this is not for me. I love the students there, though. Like, the environment, the school. Also, I'm happy for that experience because I got to see that the things that we were doing in the inner city public schools, like, we used to always get fussed at and chastised with. Like, I even remember in middle school, like, the space teacher that we had, she always used to brag about Albert Hill. Albert Hill students are this, and Albert Hill students are that, and blah, 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 blah. And then one day she came with a cast or something. It was like she had got battered and fucking bruised, and was like, oh my gosh, like what happened? And she was like, one of the Albert Hill students pulled the chair from underneath me, and I think she had like literally broke something because she wasn't expecting that to happen. She was about to sit down and they pulled the chair. And we were just chatty fucking kids. Like was our level of disrespect in the 8th grade. We were really chatty. So we might not have listened to her if she didn't raise her voice to tell us, like, you know, to regain control of us. And we were the space students, so she should have been able to do that. But like, she always used to be like, and Albert Hill had a higher white population, so that gives you a context. But she always used to brag about the Albert Hill kids, and so that happened, and we as children knew, like, oh, well, we're the Elkhart kids, and we didn't fucking pull the chair from underneath you. And that's one of the things I learned going to the suburban school, is that a lot of times, like, black kids are called bad. Like, when you go to, like, a predominantly inner city black and brown school, which I grew up in predominantly black schools. I did get to see a higher population of Hispanics. Once I got to middle school, like, I think it was just that time period where, like, Hispanic population was rising in Richmond and predominantly in the South Side. I think it even happened in Manassas. Like, it just started happening, and it was nothing that I cared about. Like, it was like, hey, y'all, welcome. And so yeah, but go to the county school, the suburb school, whatever you want to call it, and their kids doing fucked up shit too. Like, their kids bad as shit. Like, they doing crazy shit we would never do. Like, they put super glue in the teacher's door so that they didn't have to have class that day. And it was like, we just would never. Like, we would be verbally disrespectful, but we would just never do this. Like, I think one student super glued the teacher's seat. Like, their pranks were like, it was like, as the black community would look at them like, you've lost your fucking mind. But then when they might come into the classroom and see us vocalizing for ourselves, some of us were, you know, didn't need to, but, you know, they might have looked at them and like, but maybe not, because I feel like white people get to have voices growing up, where black people, not all, but like most black households, you know, there's a level of respect that you don't get to talk back, and that's whether you're right or wrong. So I think that's why we was taking it out at school. It was like, hey, you can't do shit. So yeah, and it's real bad now. It's like, you gotta tell these kids, if you hit me, I'm gonna fuck you up back. I had to tell my elementary school student that. I didn't say I was gonna fuck you up back, but I told him, if you throw that chair at me and it hits me, and I love this little baby to this day, like, me and him that cried together. Had some emotional issues. I understood him because I was him sometimes. But if he would have threw the chair at me and it would have connected, I would have lost my job that day. I would have needed somebody to bail me out that day. And I told him that. Like, I told him, like, if that chair, you could throw the chair, but if you throw the chair and the chair hit me, we gonna have to fight. And it's just that simple as that. So, like, if you want to tussle with me, like, we could go. Like, I fight kids. And I mean that. It's just certain type of kids that you cannot show weakness to. And you just know who those kids are. Those are the kids that are beating the teachers' asses now. And I would not show fear. And I am not going to turn the other cheek. Jesus is not the example. He's the exception. Because I am not him. I'm going to try to fuck you up back. So, that's another reason I'm happy I'm not teaching anymore. Because I have seen kids beat the shit out of their teachers. And this is wild. So, there's a problem with the education system overall. But I do like that I got to experience suburban education. Education be educationing. I will give you that. There's real learning and teaching going on. There's real fostering of learning going on in suburban schools on average. What I do think too, there's more parent involvement. More parent involvement is always going to lead to a better education and resources. The reason I say this is because more parent involvement means that parents are going to advocate for their kids. They're going to be on your ass about whether you're actually doing your job, because this is a public service field once again. So they can speak to your manager. Whereas in the inner city school, because of most parents are working, there are some single parent households or some grandparents raising kids or other guardians raising kids. There are a lot of different factors about why parent involvement is not as great. But kids are kids. That's what I learned. I learned that, like, all my life I had thought we were the bad ones, when no, motherfuckers, y'all bad too. Kids just gonna be kids. And I don't think Black and brown students get to live in that kids are going to be kids. We are just taught that we are so fucking bad. And yet, if you go on to another school where there is a higher population of other students, that is not looked at the same. They are handled different and all that. So what else can I think of as far as my education growing up? I will say I'll do that in a separate video, like code switching. Like, I do. My mom is country, however she typically speaks proper English. On average, she do have some foods that have her, some words, like food is one of them. That's why I said food, because she'll be like food. And I find it funny. Don't take it to find it funny too. And but she got some words like that have her like southern, like draw in it, or like you just can tell she from the South. But on average, like, I say she speaks like a white woman. And I hate to say that proper English is a white thing, even though, guess what? Proper English is a white thing, because they're the one who stole all the different things to make American English. We came speaking our own native tongue. And then some of us was already here speaking our own native tongue. So I used to get mad when people used to say like a Black person is speaking like a white person. And in actuality, when you want to get to the root of things, proper English is definitely a classism thing. Because if you look at it, you have uneducated people who speak different dialects of English. Black people have their own English, set of English. It's called African American vernacular. It was called Ebonics, I think, back in the day. Improper English, slang, jargon, all that stuff. Like, we literally can speak to each other, and if you're not engulfed in our culture, then you don't know what the fuck we're talking about. Which is cool. I love it. I'm bilingual. But I hate it because it has caused me to code switch, because my mom had always wanted me to speak proper English, but however, with my friends, I wanted to do hood rat shit. And it's not hood rat shit, but it's just, I look at African American vernacular as it is the results of, first of all, not properly teaching the slaves American English. So they were learning English by watching, observing, learning. Very smart people we are. Because you remember, we couldn't read or we'd die. So, you know, we had to do these things on a sneak, hush, hush. So when you hear people back in the past, like when they make movies or you hear books and it's yes, a massa instead of yes, master, it's because they were not formally taught American English. This does not correlate to laziness, and not one iota. I want to do a whole separate video on this, but I've digressed. My mom definitely always used to correct me. Instead of me saying this, I would say this with a D instead of a TH. You know, just certain stuff like that. So it taught me that I had to be a certain way in a professional setting, and I could be a certain way with my friends. Then also code switching is like, I do not talk the same that I talk with white people all the time. Like, I have to be super comfortable with you to, you know, give off my blackness or whatever that is. And that's a part of my code switching. And it's like, I learned from Dante, like, what are you doing? Like, be yourself. Like, if anyone should be uncomfortable, it should be them. And I think he's right. So yeah. I don't know where that came from, but that's just there. But anyway, that was middle school, high school. I did get into altercation. So I left a nice suburban school because I felt like it was a little too late for me. Like, I should have started out like this. I had got all the way to the 12th grade, and I was like, I ain't doing this work. Like, crazy. All right, so like, I was a little like crazy. So I was like, Mom, I'm gonna just go to my zone school. Go to my zone school. Had a beef with a girl there, which I'll do another story time for her, which it was really over a no good fucking nigga. But that wasn't even who I ended up getting a fight with. So ended up getting into this random ass fight. Didn't even know this girl. Come to find out, the girl was like in the 9th grade, but I wasn't thinking about that. That little girl, like, that was a rude, disrespectful little thing. And she ain't a little thing. She's a human being that was having a human experience, and whatever she was going through that morning, she took that shit out on me, and she didn't realize, like, I was going through some shit too, but I be holding my shit in, and I be waiting for a nigga to try me. And I tried to laugh her off and let her go, but like, we ended up getting into it. I ended up getting put out of Huguenot for that incident, and went to adult. At adult, they was learning contractions. Fucking tractions. That is like, what? Elementary school? That was some shit my mom taught me before I got to school. Like, can and not makes can't. Like, this is the worksheet we was doing. I was like, what in the fuck? My mom was like, when you go there, you act like you're taking your time to do that work. If you finish, you just act like you're going over that worksheet. Because she literally, like, we was in the process of fighting the school board for making that decision to put me out of school because, like, I had good grades and my record wasn't that bad. Like I said, I had some fights on my record, but it's always someone did something to me first. And I'll tell that story about the girl at Huguenot, because that one grew legs and arms and a myth of itself. But I'll tell what happened from my perspective. But yeah, so like, that was like one of the first times I saw my mom cry. It was like when I got put back into school, because she fought hard for me to get put back into school. But before I got put back into school, I had a really great I think he was history teacher. Yes, we used to do current events in his class, like, and read newspaper, and we would talk. And I just remember that being an educational experience for me, because I was learning about politics, government, the world. That was another thing we did at Franklin too, was current events. Like, current events was something we focused on. I guess by being in the military, you need to know what's going on in the world. So, but that was another thing, like, another teacher I related to. He was a lighter, fairer skin, black man with curly hair. And I just remember him cultivating learning in me in a place that seemed like there was no learning going on. I, unlike most of the students, I think, used to leave early, because once again, by the time I got to 12th grade, I only had like 2 or 3 classes at I think it was 2. Um, and I think 2 a day. So like I think by like 11 or 12 I was gone. So I got to leave early. So literally like it was a waste of time. A big waste of time. I think for students like that, y'all need to just like graduate them out. Make a better plan so they can graduate early or something like that, because that's just a waste of time. And but while an adult I met him, and that proved to be, you know, a part of my journey of learning and finding my love for current events again. Having intellectual conversations. I love to have an intellectual conversation. And most of the time I find as a kid I was having them with adults. And so I definitely attribute that to a lot of my intelligence too, is having adult conversations about life and the world around us with adults. Learn a lot doing that. So my mom ended up, you know, advocating for me, and I got put back into regular school, and that's where I got put back into George Wythe. Well, I didn't get put back into, but I got put into George Wythe, which if I would have stayed on the trajectory of going to Bouchard, I would have ended up at George Wythe as my high school. That's the high school my brother graduated from, and that is the high school I graduated from. Even though I feel like Franklin Military is my school, my actual graduation school was Wythe, which I only spent like literally a 9 weeks maybe there. Yeah, I think it was like a 9 weeks. They ended up putting me and the same girl at the same school. They did not kick her out of Richmond Public Schools. They kicked me out of Richmond Public Schools. I will tell you why in another video. But I got put back in there. I made my mom a promise that, like, no matter what, I would consult her first before I solved problems on my own. And so I did do that. And yeah, I had a teacher try to steal from me there. And they're going to chastise my mom because I told my mom that she wouldn't give me my money, because what she did was I gave her money, left before getting a receipt, left before getting a change, because I used to work. And so like when I think I was paying for a yearbook, and gave her the money, and didn't get the receipt, didn't get the change because I was rushing trying to get to work. So it just slipped my mind. And then I realized, you know, after the fact, that she didn't give me a receipt and she didn't give me my money, like my change. And so I tried to talk to her on my own. And she tried to spin me and was like, well, I don't even have, you know, proof what you paid with it with and all that stuff. So like she tried to spin me and shit. And so like I started to get pissed off. And I called my mom and I was like, you know what, you're going to have to come up here and talk to her, because I'm about to, it's about to be over for me. Like, they're not going to put me back in school. Like, I'm about to go the fuck off. And so that's what my mom did. And she ended up, you know, getting me my money. And the teacher gonna have nerve enough to tell her, like, you need to let her advocate for herself. And she can't call you all the time. Like, she need to figure it out herself, which is true. However, bitch, you did not know who the fuck you was dealing with. Like, a lot of people think, like, I'm so typically, like, forward facing. Like, people see this niceness, this bubbly. When I say there is light and there is darkness in me, I mean that. I mean that. And every day I am battling darkness. So don't fuck around and find out. And I do have enough self-control that even if people try to test me and all that stuff, like, I'm not even worried about that. My God is far more greater than whatever you pulling off of, whatever source you're pulling off of. And I'm happy for these moments in life through my education experiences, because it has taught me a level of self-control that I needed for my career paths. It has stopped me from smacking the shit out of a lot of people and handling things in a better way. So I will thank these experiences in life where, you know, they've led me to be a better person. I will say, don't judge me. Judge your mama if you have problems with violence. I grew up in violence. That's what I saw. It's normal to me. You watch it on TV. I lived it, so go figure. And some of us who actually, lived it, we understand it. Like, we understand. I am not the type of person that goes out there and deliberately, intentionally, just like, today, I'm gonna fuck up this person's day. I'm gonna fuck their day up because I'm miserable and I want them to be miserable. I don't do that. When I am about to go off, you have done something to me, and it is not a little thing. It is not a little thing. You have done something to me. So now, if somebody mess with my money, I know the proper white people protocols. I'm not gonna smack the shit out you, but depending on how much it is, I will sue your ass. So thank you, white people, for teaching me your ways that work in your reality. But in my reality that I grew up in, it is to smack the shit out of the person and to get your money back, and maybe even more if you can. But she had me fucked up. That was disrespectful. You don't take from somebody. And then a student. And so that was one of the hiccups I had there, but I ain't had no other hiccups. I kind of laid low there, kept my head down, did the work I needed to do. And that's how I kind of was when I was at Huguenot before I got put out. I did what I needed to do and kept my head down and left. Like, I literally wasn't there long. So, however, I did graduate. I graduated with, like I said, with all that shit going on, I graduated with 3.7 advanced diploma that I never received, rocked across the stage, got the nice little black thing, no diploma in it. Was told, couple of weeks it would be coming in, never got the diploma, never had the diploma a day in my life. However, I didn't give a fuck because when it came time to apply for college, like, I was getting accepted without proof of the diploma. So I guess, like, when you get the transcripts, they don't care about the diploma. That's one thing people don't realize. Like, they care about the transcripts. So that's what they cared about. So, and that showed that I had graduated. So I don't have a high school diploma physically. On record, I do. But physically, I don't. I have 3 college degrees. But I did manage to graduate with a 3.7. I say that probably. It was a 3.7, I think. Or 3.5. You can fact check me if you have the time or the resources or the authority. I don't know. But and an advanced diploma. I don't even remember education much with. I just remember showing up and leaving and going to work. That's all I remember. And I think by that time, I probably was like working full-time hours and full-time, like not open, but closing. I used to close. I think I was closing in like the 11th grade, closing up the store, which is child labor laws. Like, I was making deposits and all kind of shit, but it gave me life skills. I don't care. It definitely gave me some skills that, manager skills, I would say. Manager skills at an early age. My manager trusted me. I loved her. Still love her. All right, let's see. I think that will wrap up my educational experiences. So this is going to be a saga, it looks like. All right, so I'm going to end this set here because this one is going to be broken up into, I think, 2, maybe 3. Who knows?